Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden, and the moderately looking okay guy right next to me, his name is Tim. And this is The Second Legacy, and thank you for stopping by. Today, my brothers and sisters, we get to talk about something really awesome, something we've been wanting for a while. A nationwide injunction on the pistol brace rule has been issued by a district court in Texas. We're going to break it all down right now. Everything will be linked for your review. And please, guys, make sure you leave a comment right down there in the comments area. Like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, Tim, we've been talking about this for a while. This is some big news, man.
It is. It's good. It keeps getting better in this case.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Because one of the things that you said earlier, and I'm going to give you full props. So right here on Second Legacy this morning, early in the episode, you said this early on about the compensation for all the money that was lost for companies and individuals should be more important, but it wasn't being played on. And that shows up here.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's so unbelievably criminal about what the federal government keeps doing with these rule changes. They're negatively affecting American businesses. They're putting the pinch on big businesses like Brownells, and they're putting the pinch on small businesses. Matter of fact, this brace rule has already put a number of brace companies out of business. Yep. But we'll get into that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But it was the thing that made me happy to see, and we're about to break this thing down, was where they went. The direction they went was different than they've gone before. I enjoyed that greatly. So with that, Dr. Button Pusher, throw up number one so we can bring the people along with what we're talking about. This is in the United States District Court. We're going to come back to that in the Northern District of Texas. This is the case Brito v. ATF. Okay, so I'm going to read the memorandum. We're just going to kind of go through these and then add some commentary behind it. So, before the court is plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction filed on February 7, 2023, against the ATF. Having considered the motion, briefing, and relevant law, the court grants the motion. Now, that's at the very highest level. This is a big deal nationwide. This is not, and let's hit on this for a second, Tim. This is not what it has been. Prior, it was if you're this group and you're this person and you have this membership, you're covered by an injunction. This one is national, and that's a big piece of this too.
Right. Yeah, because in the past we've seen injunctions handed down for various court cases that only affected certain groups. In this case, with the braces, originally it was members of FPC and GOA and those organizations that brought lawsuits. But then those groups went back to court and said, no. It shouldn't just be relegated to us. This should cover all Americans. Why just us? We brought the lawsuit, but it's not just about us. And so they kept fighting this to get this injunction, which is awesome. And this is why we need to fund these groups, right? Join them, because they do these types of things to defend our rights. And so, yeah, it's just crazy that that it took this long, because it's already done quite a bit of damage, both to individuals. People have already destroyed their property out of fear of being prosecuted by the U.S. government. And then it's put businesses out of business. They've stopped production of these things. Well, they could resume under this injunction, but that might be a dangerous move too, because we don't know what the final outcome may be, or if a higher up court may undo the injunction like we've seen done before. So it's still this is very tedious, but this is good news for gun owners out there with braces. I know I saw people out there posting on social media like, dumb this down for somebody that doesn't have a legal mind. Basically, everybody in the United States is covered by this injunction right now. So
as it is written in this order and without any changes, because this is a fluid situation. I think that was an important thing for you to say, Tim.
Yes,
another
this
court
is constantly
could come
changing.
In. Yeah, another court could come in and say, no, this is too broad. It's just the plaintiffs in the case at the higher level. We'll break all that down in 1 second, okay? But as of right now, as it is written, the filming of this video, you're talking about a nationwide a nationwide injunction on the ban of pistol braces, okay? So let me just show you what they said in the conclusion here, Tim, and then we'll break down kind of where this goes, because the way they did this was good. Number two, sir. Likewise, the court is certainly sympathetic to ATF's concerns over public safety in the wake of tragic mass shootings. The rule, quote, embodies salutary policy goals meant to protect vulnerable people in our society, but public safety concerns must be addressed in ways that are lawful. This rule is not. And then number three, with the conclusion, right? For the foregoing reasons, the court grants the motion and stays the rule in its entirety. So ordered November 8, 2023, Matthew Kaczmarek, District Judge. So you kind of reacted immediately. Why'd you do that? Because it was so awesome.
Because they said that they must address these concerns legally, lawfully, and this does not. And why is that such a powerful statement? Because this goes right to the core of Chevron deference, right? This is bringing this back to the surface of the discussion, because when they say, bureaucracy, what you're doing is unlawful, that is a serious condemnation from a court towards a bureaucracy, because they are justifying these rule changes under the Chevron deference clause, if you will. I mean, you know, the SCOTUS granted that years ago. And basically all that means is if there's any ambiguity in the law, the governing bureaucracy can interpret the law as they see fit. But the problem is they've gone well past that, and they just create new law out of whole cloth, citing Chevron deference. And this is why when the judge says this is not lawful, boom, in your face.
That's a very good way to point it. Hey, any questions? I mean, legitimately.
Right? Yeah, he left no ambiguity in that one. And I love the so ordered in bold. That's
it's
beautiful.
So good. It's so good.
So ordered.
So ordered. I don't want to, in my life, I want to get to a point where I could just say, hey, I want a hamburger. So ordered.
Yeah.
You know.
Or just Picard it, man. Make it so.
Just do it. The thing that I love about this, it's you hit it so perfectly. It brings up other things like Chevron deference, which is a great thing, which is also going to be heard this session. I believe it's this session is going to be heard.
It's coming, man. Yeah. It's just too many cases.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah, because we're fighting. And that's the thing. We are fighting back and pushing back on their BS more than we've ever done before. I mean, granted, they've overreached more than they've ever done before in the short term as well. But keep in mind some backstory here, Tim, for the people watching. These exact same injunctions that have been dished out across the board when you're talking about the tactical machining with frames and receivers, with the pistol brace rules, with the bump stocks, all of these injunctions that have come out, the Solicitor General, the person who defends these laws, has always immediately written and said, hey, please stay this because it's too broad and it's too egregiously bad, and it goes beyond the case and what they asked for. Remember that? How they did that in the pistol brace prior? The funny part about that is if they did that in this case, they'd have to go to the Fifth Circuit, who already told them to go pound sand. That's where this gets so interesting, because this is below the Fifth Circuit.
Right.
This
is a lower court.
Exactly. Right. Prior, the Fifth Circuit makes a determination, and SCOTUS had said, cool your jets, and basically remanded the injunction, or basically revoked the injunction, stayed the injunction, however you want to say it. And they've said, just calm your jets while it works itself through the system. In this case, they would have to appeal to the Fifth Circuit because they can't go straight to SCOTUS.
Right.
That's interesting to me.
Then the Fifth Circuit would rule, and then the SCOTUS would have to get involved. And
right.
You know, in the interim, but as we said earlier in the video, I mean, this is dynamic. This could change until this is finally settled in court, and that could take some time as well.
Oh, that's exactly a very, very good disclaimer. All right. So now as we go into this, because we started at the really good, delicious part up front. We went with the delicious dessert first. Let's get into number 4, and let's talk about how they're doing this, because this I like seeing this because it makes sense. On remand, the district court found that the plaintiffs had demonstrated a likelihood of success on their challenges because, in addition to the circuit panel's holding that the rule failed the logical outgrowth test, quote, the brace pistols subject to enforcement of the final rule are in common use today. That's number 1. And possession and use of brace pistols is therefore within the ambit of the Second Amendment protection. Let's see. Excuse me. The Second Amendment protects the possession and use of weapons that are in common use at the time. District of Columbia v. Heller. They just brought in common use, Tim, as one of the main points here from a previous court case in the Supreme Court, a freaking awesome one, Heller. Yep.
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I guess what is so outrageous about all of this is that the braces, even that by the government's own admission, their numbers went as high as 40 million people affected by this rule. The thing that's going to come into this court case, I believe, is the definition of common use.
Exactly.
But we've seen the government say 400 is common use. What about 4 million, 40 million? Where do you draw the line at common use? And if 40 million by the government's own estimation isn't common use, if 1 million isn't common use, what is?
Correct.
500,000 is common use.
Well, there's a stun gun case out of Massachusetts, the Catano case, where the Supreme Court of Massachusetts ruled that 200,000 stun guns was common use. I mean, there's a lot.
The number varies
things,
wildly.
100%. And if you and kind of go down that common use path that we're going down right now, okay, what is common use? To your point, if you're talking about pistol braces and we're saying, well, that's common use because it's 40 million. Okay, well, there's 25 million ARs in the country. There's untold hundreds of million of LCMs, or large capacity magazines, or what we call standard magazines.
Right.
At what point does it you just kind of go, oh, well, if it's common use, what are we talking about? Exactly. Egg freaking exactly. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And generally speaking, I've always found that the common use argument was odd in courts because, as we've discussed before, courts don't like ambiguity. They don't like broad definitions of things. And common use is clearly something that needs to be defined by the courts. Maybe we'll see that happen eventually, but I just hope it isn't something goofy like, oh, it takes 1 trillion to be common use, so everything's banned.
Right. Can we get some inflation over here, please? Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that. I don't know what it's going to be, but with all the things that are going in the direction of the SCOTUS, dude, the way this is shaping up with AR bans, mag bans, pistol brace rules, frames and receivers, bump stocks, Chevron deference. And if I'm the ATF and I'm on the gun control side, I'm a little uncomfy. That's a lot of juice.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine, I've heard rumors from folks within the organization that, management and the rank and file are of 2 different mindsets on a lot of this stuff. And management's definitely probably going, oh man, because ATF leadership is always concerned about their appearance. That's how we got Waco. That's how we got Ruby Ridge. They're out there trying to make a name for themselves. They're very concerned about how they appear to the public. And this makes them look pretty incompetent. And so that has to weigh heavy on them. And then the many of the lower, rank and file ATF agents and people in the field and stuff like that are completely opposed to things like this. Folks I've talked to, they don't want to enforce this nonsense. But
I'm sure you get you get a sample of both. I mean, that's just natural.
Oh yeah, absolutely you do. Absolutely you do.
But you're 100% correct. The way that this makes them look when you have this many lawsuits, when you have this many injunctions, because injunctions are not common. Like by the amount of injunctions, exactly. With the amount of injunctions we've been getting against all of the infringements in the Second Amendment space alone, it makes them look incompetent on its face. Because legitimately, guys, this is not normal. Normal is, oh wow, they got an injunction. Wow, that must have gone a little bit over the pale. In this case, in the last 2 years, it's been they didn't get an injunction. That's weird. That's a change of pace. Yeah.
And the injunction means they've done something egregious.
Right. And it's beyond the pale.
And that's clearly,
It's just insane. But let's get to number 5 here, because this is where your previous thoughts and arguments on money come in. And I really like this approach. Check this out. Moreover, quote, even if a gun owner had registered their weapon with the ATF prior to the May 31 deadline, the weapon must still be marked to reflect its new classification. The ATF estimates that each engraving or marking would cost gun owners anywhere from $30 to $65. And as the Fifth Circuit noted, there is no given process for undoing or recouping those compliance costs. Hence, plaintiffs would incur costs under the rule regardless of their chosen method of compliance, and because sovereign immunity would prevent them from recouping their costs from the ATF, would be irreparably harmed absent injunctive relief.
Man, we've been arguing this since day one.
Right. What took so long? Like, this is so easy.
Another judge that gets it, right? Because look, the gun grabbers don't care how bad they hurt you. They don't care if they take your entire life savings away from you that may be in the form of collectible firearms or whatever. They don't care. All they want is their agenda pushed forward. They don't care who gets hurt, and they deem us to be evil. They think that gun owners and gun manufacturers and gun resellers are all bad people, so you deserve to be financially harmed. And this mindset permeates not just the left, but even people on the right, that if I don't agree with you, I should hurt you. You should lose your job. You should not even live in a home. You're trash. And that's what these types of decisions do. They absolutely victimize people, victimize Americans, and they never talk about that. But in this decision, it's brought front and center.
100%.
And yeah, you should not have to pay any type of compliance cost. If the government changes its mind, if something is legal today and they decide tomorrow, oh, you know what, we're taking that away now. And by the way, we're going to retroactively impose this. You're not going to get to keep what you have. And now you owe us money.
Yep.
How about?
How about no?
I didn't put the finger up.
Yeah. No, I think that's appropriate. And by the way, if you guys haven't noticed, Tim's shirt is it's a very good choice for attire today. I just want to throw that out there. And
it was just coincidental, by the way.
It wasn't planned. No. It just happens. It's serendipitous.
It did this morning. It actually did happen because we didn't come up with what we were going to talk about until I already got into the studio. So
that's true.
It just jumped out at me.
It just came at me. I just felt the vibe from the universe. Well, so far, Tim, just to kind of recap this, we've talked about the Heller decision and common use. Glorious. We've talked about the financial imposition on civilians. Glorious. Well, now let's talk about what it's going to do to businesses. This is number 6. Additionally, ATF admits the 10-year cost of the rule is over $1 billion. And because of the rule, certain manufacturers that obtain most of their sales from stabilizing braces risk having to close their doors for good. So now you've got a cause for businesses. You have a cause for individuals, both on the financial approach, and you have Heller common use arguments happening below the Fifth Circuit. So the appeal zone would be the Fifth Circuit, which is already not friendly to this pistol brace rule.
Yep. And there's a Bidenomics joke in there somewhere.
Oh, somewhere. So it's in there delicious.
The rule is over $1 billion. Yeah, we're almost talking about real money now.
Yeah, almost.
Under Bidenomics, $1 billion isn't all that much.
Yeah, it's not that. That's not that.
You can't really feed a family of 3 on $1 billion anymore.
No, not anymore. Inflation. Inflation. I get you. I get you. But man, we're sitting here looking at the massive amount of money that this would cost people. The ATF has immunity. Why was this not the first argument brought forward? I do not know. Like, to me, this seems like such an open and shut approach where it's like you can't refute that.
That's a tough one to get around. It really, truly is, because, the government can't go around and just decide one day that, what was legal yesterday is now something we're going to tax you for and penalize you for, lock you up for. It's just unbelievable. In a free country, this is not supposed to happen. Yeah. And this lawsuit is pretty interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. I'm pretty sure this entire thing is going to wind up at the SCOTUS because everybody's going to appeal, no matter who wins or loses. Yep. Both sides are going to appeal this as far as they can take it, and so that's why this could take some time to ultimately resolve.
I think the next 3 to 5 years are going to be massively busy heading towards this. I mean, as we get to the top of this pyramid, I mean, like, legitimately, let me know if I leave a case out just off the top of my head of things that are heading that direction. You have, let's see, the frames and receivers rule. That one's heading that direction. You have the pistol brace rule. That one's going. You have the bump stock ban. That one's already being heard in the next session. They just decided to take it up for the next session. So that's next year, in election year. Then you have the sensitive places follow-ups. You have AR bans that are on the horizon. You have mag bans.
All the state level, state level bans.
Yes, correct. Yeah. I mean, dude, like that's 6 off the top of my head that are working their way through the system. And then, I mean, and actually the AR ban at the 7th Circuit level, that's actually closer than state level. It's now getting actually up there. I mean, we are going to be busy, bro.
My concern is that, we're going to see a conservative justice step down.
They're all pretty young.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors that, like Thomas and stuff like that are, aging out and they're kind of wanting to retire. So I just hope that doesn't happen. I mean, this next election cycle in 2024, folks, you got to get out and vote because it is so critical.
This is going to be a thing.
Because if the anti-gunners take the House, Senate, and House, it's going to be rough. And there's a good chance that the next anti-gun president will be able to seat justices and put far-left activist, anti-gun, anti-constitutional justices on the bench. And that can make it very difficult for some of these cases that may drag out for a few years.
And that's the big part. And like, just talking about the elections, one of the biggest things when you're talking about presidential is you got to think about who's going to be the justices. As that president goes away, the justices stay there for like 50 more years. So, I mean, like you're really impacting the direction of your country more so through the judicial nominations than through the actual elections of a president executive, because they come and go, but those justices stay for a hot minute. They get real comfy, real comfy.
But that drives the far left just absolutely nuts. Now they want to put term limits on justices. They just want to change everything. They don't get the outcome they want. They want to do away with electoral college, do away with lifetime appointments, do away until we get what we want, because a one-party state is what we need. No, that's what they're going for.
It's such a thing. Well, you know what I want to do, Tim? I want to get into our goofy things gun grabbers say. But before I do, though, I want to do number 3 again and just read that conclusion again for the people. For the foregoing reasons, the court grants the motion and stays the rule in its entirety. Entirety is a great word, and I love it. Thank you very much. Let's go to guns. The goofy things gun grabbers say. So you want to set this one up, because this is your baby. This is your segment.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just perusing X, formerly known as Twitter, this morning, and my friend Mr. Guns and Gear posted about something going on over at Colt in Hartford, Connecticut. And he just said, a friend of mine works there and said employees are being told only to take one road to as the other roads are blocked by these people. protesters demonstrating outside of Colt Manufacturing, West Hartford. And the protesters are holding up a sign that says Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
So
they got turned around.
I think they're a bit confused. I think they got some wires crossed potentially here because I think they're at the wrong rally.
I think
that,
so.
Or they perhaps think there's a Jew in the building that they're after. I just don't know which, but there's something going on here.
or they brought the wrong banner. Like they got their schedule mixed up. Like, okay, so Thursdays today we're going to Colt to manufacture the PLCAA and the manufacturers immunity, and then tomorrow we're going to do a Free Palestine rally at the Chick-fil-A. Who brought the wrong banner?
Yeah, we got to have backpacks full of banners and T-shirts so we can change from rally to rally.
Guys, we can't do this. We're doing Palestine rally with 10 people at a Colt manufacturing. This is not a good look.
Yeah, and they got like 20 people standing there blocking the front gate.
Oh, man, for Palestine, for
Palestine, Colt. How dare they? Free Palestine, Colt now.
Unrelated, like completely.
I know.
I really feel like there's one of two things could have gone down here. This is the fun part because we get to just piece this together on the back end. This was either they brought the wrong stuff into the wrong place and their lines got crossed, or they literally were just like spinning a wheel. Like, where can we stand with this sign? Yeah, that looks like a good place.
We don't like guns, do we? No, let's go to Colt. It's just up the road.
It's convenient, and we can get snacksies afterwards. Who's up for some Dunkin' Donuts?
They got run off from the other protests. Get out of here. Well, let's just go down the road to Colt.
Grab the next sign. And
two birds with one stone.
Exactly. It is so convenient when you can just mix and match your cogs with different attire and different banners. It is so convenient, but we thought you guys would enjoy that.
I don't have the screen cap for this one, but I'm sure you saw on social media about the guy in Panama that shot two protesters. They're blocking the road.
Yeah, I did.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I did. I was like, wow.
That popped in my head looking at this image because, people are getting fed up worldwide with these protests where they take over streets and shut things down. I mean, when I first saw that news story break, I thought that happened somewhere either in the UK or maybe even in the United States, but it turned out this is going on in Panama. I mean, these protests are just everywhere. It's just kind of crazy.
But anyway. By the way, YouTube and everyone else watching, we do not condone violence. This is not the answer. You speak your mind.
No, that's not what we're just talking about news. That's all we're doing and having a little fun with some of it. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's episode of Second Legacy. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.